Boys and girls, welcome back to another F1 23 ranked online race. This is Benjamin Bakchoi. This week the races are Silverstone, Singapore, and Zandvoort. And today we're going to be starting at Silverstone, where we qualified on pole, and I was expecting this to be an easy race. Probably should have been an easy race, as we qualified, I think, maybe about 8 or 9 tenths faster than P2. I'm not quite sure, but it was quite a bit of a margin. Once again, not getting an amazing start, not wanting to use too much overtake, but I know how everybody else drives. They all just kind of use their ERS on the first lap here. We got a little tap from behind from P2 there, so we had to get off throttle a little bit as we were losing the rear end. Going into turns 4 now, we get bumped from the guy on the outside, not realizing that we were right next to him. But that's fine, we're still in P2 at this point. Again, having to use ERS, more ERS than I really want to on the first lap, because everybody else is in a hurry to try and get out in front. So because we were so much quicker, I wasn't really too worried going into this race. And as you can see, we still have about 90% battery left, and we're still right on the gearbox of P1 here. And everybody else behind us, I think their qualifying times were much, much slower, so I wasn't too worried. And you'll see we actually gapped them by quite a bit towards the end of the race. But just trying to stay close to this guy and monitoring where he's strong on track and weak on track going into Maggots and Beckett's. He kind of has a little bit of an issue through here, so I don't want to gun it because I know how people drive, and we get wiped out. Not only did we get wiped out, but we lose our front wing, so we have to go in and box right away. If we didn't get damaged front wing, we probably could have just stuck behind everybody else and continued on, but we have no front wing right now, and we have to go in and change it. I was thinking about maybe going on to the hards, but I thought the hards would be way too slow on this track. So we're just going to go onto the mediums and have a little trouble getting into the pit lane here because people, I don't know. Oh, man. And we got a speeding penalty. This game is... I try to have fun in this game, but everybody else just makes it so difficult. As you can see, I'm shaking my head right now. We probably could have avoided that penalty if we weren't worried about those two cars going on the grass and trying to get into the pit lane as well. And because we don't serve our penalty here, we're going to carry 5 seconds for the rest of the race. But luckily for us, we got a supreme undercut. Once we get back out on track here, we are in P7. But like I said, since the qualifying times weren't that great and the only other guy that was close to us is currently in P5 right now, I wasn't super worried. So we're just going to continue on right now and hope that we can undercut everybody else and get out in front of them by the time they make their pit stop. This guy behind us actually stayed close enough to us for a few laps to be a little bit of a nuisance, as he was close enough to get DRS and maintain that DRS for a couple of laps. But I think he was using a lot of his battery to try and stay close to us, even though he's on the softs and we are on the mediums. He was able to stay close to us, but I think after about 2 or 3 laps, I'm assuming his battery was dead and he wasn't able to stick with us any longer. So we ended up dropping him, and really nobody else to worry about except for the guys in front of us. It's just a matter of how much the gap is right now. I think pit stops at Silverstone are maybe about 28 seconds, one of the longest pit stops on the F1 calendar. But we're going to cut to lap number 12 right now, and we ended up getting out in front of this guy. This is the guy that wiped us out on the first lap. But he must not have gotten any damage because he was able to stay on the softs, and now we are battling him. He is on probably 6 or 7 lap old mediums, and we are on 12 lap old mediums at this point. So even though we had the pace on him, our tires were just dead at this point, and we had to use a bunch of our battery to try and undercut a lot of the guys out in front of us. And so our battery was dead, whereas he was able to just pretty much coast at the front because everybody else was so slow. He didn't really need to overtake or try to pass them in the pits. So we managed to make it all the way back up to P2, but by this point our tires were just dead and we had really no battery left to fight with. As you can see, he is flashing a bit as well, but he is out in front of us, and he's got track position and he has much better tires, so we can't even close up through Maggots and Beckett's here, even though I think our lines were a little bit better, as you can see. And now coming down the hanger straight, we just don't have enough resources left to really make a battle of this. And even if we could, we're still carrying that 5-second penalty anyway. I did think about diving it down the inside on the last few corners, but I thought, what's the point? we're still going to lose this race anyway. We might as well just try and finish it as cleanly as possible here. So we backed out right there and we lost the race. But I think this was a win that got away from us. We definitely could have won that race if we hadn't lost so much time. One, ran off the track, and then two, having to stop for a front wing change, and then being on super dead mediums at the end of the race while everybody else was on 6-7 lap fresher tires than us. So yeah, not a great race for us at Silverstone. Our second race today, continuing on with the trend, we are at Singapore. Now, we did qualify much higher than everybody else. They all started on mediums. The default strategy is to start on mediums and then change onto the softs, but I figured since my starts are terrible, I might as well start on the softs and just try to get out in front of them as much as I can. So we're actually doing pretty well here. As you can see, before we even get down to the first DRS straight, we're already almost a second ahead of everybody else behind us, just about 8/10, and they're on mediums as well. So because they had slow qualifying times and I'm on a much faster tire, I figured I'd be pulling away from these guys pretty easily, and this would be another easy race. And we've already broken DRS before we even get into the main part of Sector 2 here. Yellow flags behind us, a lot of cars going off, going into the wall, and as you can see, the grid is already strung out pretty far. We have one guy close behind us, and then another group about 4, 5, 6 seconds back, and then another big group that's probably about 10 seconds back. So as of right now, it looks like it's going to be a nice easy race, and I thought it was going to be smooth sailing, and we are on the faster tire. I'm assuming everybody is on the mediums as well, since that is the default setup or the default strategy that the game recommends. So I just want to get a big enough gap here to where if anybody decides to try and do an undercut on us, we can still go one lap extra and beat them anyway. But I think I'm expecting them to pit at about lap 7 or 8. And the strategy did say that these softs should go about 8 laps before they start losing grip. So right now it's looking good as we're coming to the end of lap number 1, and we are about 3 seconds ahead. But if you think this race has a good ending, you probably didn't read the title of the video. So setting the fastest lap, of course, we were on pole and we crossed the finish line first. So coming to the end of lap number 7 right now and about to start lap number 8, I'm looking to see if anybody pits because I'm wanting to pit right about now. But as you can see out in front of us, we actually have some backmarker traffic. One car right out in front of us, and then 2 more cars a couple seconds in front of him. So I was planning on coming in right at the end of this lap, just in case we did catch up to those guys. I want to get into the pit lane and maybe get in a +1 lap undercut on them, if you know what I'm saying. Get in there quick, get onto the faster or the newer tires, and then hopefully we can get out of the pit lane and finish our lap before they go in and change their tires as well, so that we don't have to deal with traffic. Because the last time we had backmarker issues, they weren't ghosted out. I don't know if that changed at this point, but I'm assuming that it hadn't. So I want to avoid that backmarker traffic as much as I can. So the guy in front of us actually kind of catches up to the 2 cars in front of him that were a little bit further down the road, and now I am starting to worry a little bit, as if they start battling, then we're going to catch up to them, and if they aren't ghosted, then we're going to lose a whole bunch of time. But I'm going to come into pit at the end of this lap anyway, and as you can see right now, 2 of them are right next to each other. So we're coming down this DRS straight and just make this right-hand turn. And as I exit the turn, Jesus.
Are you alright? Engine off, engine off.
I mean, could I have done more to prevent this? Yes, I probably could have come to a complete stop, but since he was backing up, I assumed he would wait and not move forward. But as soon as I tried to cut in front of him, he decided to move forward in his car. I don't know. Yeah. Kind of my fault there too. I can't get too upset about it, but ranked online is just no fun at this point. I don't know. Codies, please ghost out the backmarkers. If you're expecting these guys to do the right thing, they're not going to do it. But anyway, that's it, guys. If you think I've earned it, feel free to leave a like, comment, or subscribe. Stay tuned for more. Remember to eat bok choy, and I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully, I won't pull my hair out when that race is over.